Hi everyone, I'm Fraga. Anyone who has ever served in the military, whether it was the Army, the Marines, the Navy, or the Air Force, will almost always tell you that one thing they truly loved about the armed forces, that they never quite experienced in the same way in civilian life, was the camaraderie they had with their fellow servicemen and women. Not only do you work every day with the same people, you often live with them in the barracks as well. You go out and drink together, you socialize together, you watch TV and movies in each other's rooms. You get to know their families. You deploy together and you share a common mission. You keep each other alive in dangerous situations, and you do what you can to boost each other's morale when you see it's flagging. Because you're not just co-workers or even colleagues. It's more like really being brothers and sisters, and that bond is for life. I think of that camaraderie whenever I read accounts of what life was like in the early Christian community, as we do today in the first reading from the Acts of the Apostles. Today we hear how the early Christians not only devoted themselves to the teaching of the apostles, but also to the communal life. They prayed together in the temple. They ate together in each other's homes. They even shared property and would split the proceeds from the sales of that property to make sure everyone had what they needed. This unique kind of what I like to think of as a holy camaraderie was so appealing that we read in Acts that this early Christian community enjoyed favor with all people, which contributed to God adding to their number every day. That harmonious Christian community seems like a far cry from where we are as a church some 2,000 years later. Today, the Catholic Church, particularly in the United States, is as polarized and divided as our secular society. Democrats and Republicans, liberals and conservatives, modernists, traditionalists, the labels and accusations that we hurl at one another, especially online and through social media platforms like Twitter. We may share a common baptism, but it often seems that we share little else. That kind of acrimony, mutual suspicion, and dare I say even hatred, are not what Jesus intended for his community of disciples. Elsewhere in the New Testament, we read that Jesus prayed to God the Father that his disciples be one, as he and the Father are one. A fruit of the authentic Christian life, a true gift of the Spirit, is unity. The scriptures show us that God desires unity for his people. Division, to borrow a spiritual insight from St. Ignatius of Loyola, comes from a bad spirit that seeks to destroy and undermine the integrity of not only individuals, but the communities to which they belong to. Division breaks up community, whether it's in a rock band, a sports team, a family, a church congregation, or a military unit. Division is deadly, especially when you need to trust one another in dangerous situations, like on the battlefield, for example. Now, all of this is not to say that unity means everyone having the same point of view or the same opinion on everything. I can assure you that my fellow soldiers and I, in my Army days, we definitely did not agree on everything or have the same point of view on every topic. And yes, sometimes those disagreements could get heated. So I wouldn't be surprised if the early Christian community that we read about in Acts today also from time to time had some animated disagreements as well. But even so, they would not have let those disagreements divide them. They kept sight of the big picture. They provided grace and forgiveness in those situations. They still prayed alongside and broke bread with each other. They followed the Lord's command to love one another. And that, in the end, is what God wills of us and what we evangelize in an unbelieving world. Thank you.